Let's see what's going on. Pump. Interesting. What kind of pump? Nope. That's not how I want that sound to go.
Tomorrow is the almighty Inflation Day. Woo! The only day of the year that we celebrate wishing that things were better than they were. And we have to discuss sort of what this looks like because there's a lot going down, and I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern because inflation data does come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and inflation data is going to dictate what I think is the next upcoming move. Now, yesterday I made a video titled "We Touched the Holy Grail Trend Line for AMC," and tomorrow is going to be a very deciding day on whether or not we get a continuation of the PAMP or a discontinuation and a push downwards. I think that inflation data is 1,000,000% going to dictate the way that that sort of looks, the way that it moves, and I want to discuss that today and sort of what my hypothesis is moving forward so that we can sort of know what to expect coming into tomorrow. So with that being said, let's not waste any time. Tomorrow is Inflation Day. Tomorrow we have inflation expected to come out. It is going to be on August the 10th, and inflation is expected to come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, which is the same as 7:30 a.m. Central, an hour before market open. The Wall Street expectation for current estimates is about 8.7% the last I had checked, and the way that inflation sort of works is very simple. The market prices in what their expectation was, the same as they do with earnings. Does the market expect to miss? Does the market expect to beat? Whatever they expect is what they're going to price in for that overall stock. So for example, if the market expects for a stock to miss on earnings, they will typically sell the price down, and then if it beats, well, the price goes back up. In the same way that if Wall Street is expecting an 8.7% estimate on inflation, they're going to price that in. If you beat that expectation or you meet that expectation, then typically expect a pop, and if it's above that, you typically expect more of a sell-off. So with that being said, I want to talk first about the SPY, because the SPY is going to dictate what I think is the movement on AMC. I know people don't like to hear this. I talk about this quite frequently, but I don't think that the meme stock rally will take place unless the SPY has some wind in its sails. It has a little bit of momentum to follow through with what's happening, right? The SPY today broke out of a rising wedge. Typically, the expectation you'd have for a break of a rising wedge is a massive push to the downside. This isn't a surprise, right? This is actually pretty straightforward, pretty simple stuff. You see the fall off on volume, peaks sort of get lower and lower, especially the last couple of days. You can see this drop off in overall volume. And typically, volume picks up on the breakdowns from any sort of a break of that pattern, right? So now that we've exited this rising wedge, you'd expect volume to pick up. However, it did not, right? Hasn't quite picked up that volume yet, yet being the key word. Now, there's a couple different options and ways that I can see this playing out. Number one, and the situation that I'm sort of hoping for and expecting, to be quite frank with you, is that CPI data comes out tomorrow and is actually a beat. It beats sort of the Wall Street expectation. You get a pump, and the SPY reclaims this rising wedge. That does mean that eventually I would expect the SPY to pull back and to have that true die pattern. I mean, a lot of people are referencing the 2008 chart and how eerily similar things look now compared to 2008, and I completely agree with you, right? However, I think the point in which there's going to be an inflection and that sort of change in momentum isn't here. I think it's this level right here. $427, 427 would be the touch point that would bring you up to the macro bear trend that has existed since the 04 January touch point. You have another touch here at 29 March, which coincidentally lines up beautifully with the last peak that AMC saw. It was literally on 29 March, the day that the SPY tapped this overall macro bear trend. And I think you're going to get the same very similar situation here, where the SPY comes back up and it tests this macro bear trend, which would line up with about $427, and at that point it is going to sell off. That is all coinciding with the fact and banking on the fact that CPI data comes out bullish tomorrow. You're banking on that, right? If you want to see continuation on AMC, if you want to see continuation on GameStop, Bed Bath & Beyond, Nokia, BlackBerry, Sundial, whatever you're in, it doesn't matter. You really want CPI data to come out tomorrow, bullish, and I think that it's going to be a beat. This sounds crazy, and it sounds weird, but there's real logic to this. When retail investors are overly bullish, that's when the script flips. That's when everything gets really, really freaking bearish. It's maximum euphoria is when you start to experience fear. In the same way that when retail is overly bearish, you typically see things happen in the opposite direction. Stocks will start to move up. Things will start to go the opposite direction. I don't think retail is bullish enough for Wall Street to flip the script yet. That sounds crazy to say, but I don't think we're there, and I think this is the narrative that makes the most sense. But the second scenario is that CPI data comes out tomorrow and it's bad, and you see a continuation of the overall sell-off on this rising wedge, right? You just get the complete full breakdown on this rising wedge on the SPY, in which case things will go down. And that is going to reflect very heavily on the way that AMC, GameStop, Bed Bath & Beyond, all of these different tickers trade. Now, I've got AMC pulled up right here. What you can see here, and what I mentioned in yesterday's video, is I expect to bounce in two different spots as a scenario, right? First one is the 382, which is $23.14. Second one was the 618, which is $20.44. Right now we're hanging on the 0.5. Now I stand pretty firm. I think what made the most sense to me was the 618. I way more expected a bounce 2044 than I did 2179. However, this could be the spot. Could be. I can't tell you with certainty. What I can tell you is my game plan, my notes, 618. But nonetheless, there's a couple different scenarios here, right? There's a couple different ways that you can look at sort of how we're gearing up and the way that things could start to move. The number one scenario in which the SPY actually does follow through with this pattern that I mentioned before, it reclaims that rising wedge, it rides it until what I think would be about the 15th of August is where that inflection would happen, and you see that push to the downside. If that happens, we get that true follow through on the SPY, AMC is going to push. And the good news for you is that the falling resistance level, touch point, touch point, touch point, touch point, another touch point here, that's sort of been hanging over Amy's shoulders for the past 2 days, right? Which has been broken. You saw a breakout from that coming into the close today. You saw a slight upside level of support and about a flat top level of resistance. It's sort of just hanging. It's flipping back and forth between what I think is a bullish triangle, rising support, flat top resistance, trying to determine whether it'd like to actually push up. And I think this indecision comes from a lack of volume and a lack of liquidity and a lack of decision making from the broad market waiting for CPI data to come out tomorrow. True, we're obviously 30% today, but I was expecting, at least to some extent, a red day today, which is why I talked about the retracements that we got yesterday. So, I expect it to either come down to the 6.
Wrong with my gun?
What's she doing here?
What?
I'm never leaving you. You need to go home. Forget about me. It's the only way you'll be safe.
Head to the bunker. Resupply.
We should get to high ground. That's what my mom always says.
What is the syndicate thinking, eh? Letting the pup join the game.
I'm a human person.
You should stay here. It's safer.
We're not leaving her. We're a team. We look out for each other.
Sure. It's our funeral.
Did you do the things they said?
Of course not. But all that matters here is what people believe.
It's my fault you're in here, isn't it?
If only I'd listened. We all make our own choices. I'm here because of mine.
I'll get you out.
Jeez. I thought you were innocent. Super bad. I still fail to understand people actually telling me this. Or not.
I can handle them. You are my everything, child. If you end up here, it would destroy me. Guards, we're done here.
No. I won't leave.
I'll get you out of this.
Yeah, we fucked up the nice. hit base. Wow. Did you get on with those skills?
I was supposed to look after you, not the other way around.
We're a team. We look after each other.
We have a winner.
I did this for my mom, Zenia Conrera. She's been wrongfully
Good start, my wild one.
That's crazy. Yeah, let's go. Come on. We done? There we go. So, new update just happened now. It's crazy.
Well, a new ranked season. I could just
understand.
It's easier for everyone. No? Anyone? Okay.
She does. Anyway, can I start it? No.
618, or to get that true bounce up the 382 and come up and retest probably about $25. Trying to do that here, right? Bounce off the 3.
Loyalty means rewards. That's why every fuel rewards member saves on every gallon.
Introducing the world's first never-charged solar electric vehicle. Learn more at
Blah, 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 blah.
382 came up to the 236, rejected, came back down, and that's where we are right now, right? If the spy comes out and tomorrow, it's the same narrative. It's the same narrative as I talked about in my previous video. It's the narrative in which you see AMC come up, test out some of these previous levels. I think come all the way back up to $25 and test out the 236. Of course, along the way, you would have to break what was previously a demand zone, now acting as a supply zone. It's this green box, we're going to change to red, right? This will act as demand. You crack through that, you're looking at the 236. I think along the way, it's going to look something like this. I can't time it out perfectly, but probably about bing bang. Bing bong, come back up. I think fibs are really huge levels, and I've been watching that pretty closely. The bounce on the 5, good sign. It's even better than the 618. Maybe you could buy calls for cheaper, but I'm still in favor of a bounce here, right? This is all banking on inflation data being good. Now, if inflation data is bad, right, that's the other option here, then I'm going to show you what's going to happen. If inflation data tomorrow for the spy comes out, it is poor. Let me just use this handy tool, a bars pattern, and that will show you what the replication of this will look like. Be about this. Minus this part. I don't think this would happen. If CPI data comes out bad tomorrow, I think that AMC will come out at $16. That sounds crazy. CPI data does set the tone for the way the stocks move, and I think if it is bad, that you're going to see it come back down. Here's the thing. Who knows? Could go up, could go down. I am personally in favor of it going up. I am. I think that CPI data is going to be a beat. I think 9.1.
Come on. Guys, come on. It's almost dead. It's going to the doors.
But I don't think that's, I think that 8.7 is going to be a beat. I think Wall Street's going to react. You're going to watch us come back up and test the $427 mark, and that'll reflect on Amy. But we will know tomorrow, and I will be live for it. So if you want to stop by, if I'm wrong or if I'm right, I don't care, whatever. Right? If you want to stop by, I will be live streaming tomorrow at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. We will wait for that inflation data to come out. We will watch it happen live. We will see how the markets react live, and I'll give you my live reaction.
Oh.
Sticking to it. It makes sense to me. If I'm wrong, you critique me, you call me a clown, I don't care. I'm sticking to my guns because this does make sense. I'm gonna roll with it. That's what I got. As always, much love like that. Peace.
And after that, it fell apart. This is a badge usable within a legend.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Well, we've got a great video today because we're discussing the markets around the world, but more importantly, the slow grind that is starting to occur here in the biggest market, the S&P 500. It's slowly grinding up, and at the same time, divergences are ringing loud and clear, saying, you know what, maybe this market is a little overbought. We have key defended zones that we'll be discussing in today's video and what happens around there. We've got a lot of sentiment changes going on in the market, and of course, we've got dumb money piling in terms of purchasing everything that can be seen. Is this the beginning of a turnaround story? Stay tuned as we talk about all the key things that you need to be watching in the market right now. See you soon, guys.
It means that people are propped up the stock market.
Well, welcome back everybody to the Daily Show. Just a quick announcement before we get started. I would like to let you know that the 100k giveaway prize is at the end of today's video. So of course the full prize will be given away. And for over 500 people that entered, good luck to you. We'll find out who wins near the end. The media is filled with skepticism. This is our first story of today, and it's probably one of the most important concepts you can understand in markets. It's got to do with human psychology, and really the way the media kind of in some ways manipulates our minds into thinking certain things. Over here you can see that everyone was incredibly bearish, rightfully so. The market had fallen off incredibly quickly, and bear market articles hit decade highs in terms of skepticism. Since that point we've remained very high and elevated with, of course, bear market rally, and on this channel of course we've also discussed that same concept. The difference is though, we've been following the technical trend. That is, down bottom we obviously saw a switch, and we've been following that now since June. So do we have any reasons to start to think, well, maybe this is a bear market rally? Down here, look at this. News articles with new bull market are starting to emerge at a high rate. And this is similar to other previous times. And you can kind of see what happens.
Master here. I think they might be afraid of heights.
Do not cross me.
Oh, I love this.
Or my blade will cross you.
Let's do it. Let's do it forever and any. Oh, wow.
Supply ship over there.
Let's go, baby. I have done this forever. See. Yes. Is you with me? Dear friend. You good? No enemies. Yeah, this. Oh, okay. Nothing too crazy.
First love.
Over here. Come on. What? Countdown. Wasn't that? Inside the ring.
Okay. Yes, yeah, I guess one target. Everyone's a stab. What? Oh. Splash. That fucking ground would bend.
Anyone fastest flew here?
Bullshit. Oh, bullshit. Alright, yeah, no. Yeah. I'd like to change this to... Shit.
Mark, right there.
Oh god.
I'm in trouble. I cracked the target shield. I moved an enemy shield.
Sending out another me. Damn it, he's good looking.
I downed an adversary. Leading out.
We're already inside.
Oh, what? He just healed midair? Fuck him. What? Oh my god, what? Whatever. Bitch, yeah, I'm not funny.
During these pullbacks. Now in history, when this has occurred, we don't necessarily get a monstrous pullback. Some of you might think it's going to come back 20 or 30%. You could be absolutely right. But if history is something to tell us, generally around that 7 to 10% is quite common in these types of pullbacks, and that's what's happened over the last couple of decades. Now, in terms of selling everything, what are hedge funds doing? What are the big guys playing at? Well, they're actually playing at shorting the market during this rally. In fact, they're continuing to place bearish bets, and they're doing it at a faster rate than they've done so all of 2022 so far. Back in April and March, they obviously did place negative bets. They then reduced their negative bets, and then they increased them again, funnily enough, around the ebbs and the flows of the market. So can we trust these hedge fund guys? Well, we need to remember two things. One, they're leveraged, so that means they're putting a decent amount of their funds probably at risk here in the S&P 500. Number two, they're all starting to do it. So we need to be aware that that's not necessarily great. If everyone does something, do they really beat the S&P 500 over the long term? That's something that we know is a statistical not a fact. They do not do it.
Yep.
So if they're not beating the S&P 500, they're all doing it. We do need to take that with a healthy amount of skepticism. So why could they be doing it? Well, I think it's a lot of these things that no one's discussing about. We've got the midterm elections. We'll discuss that soon. We've got property in China. China junk bonds dropping back down to the lows over here. Not necessarily a very good thing for markets. Of course, markets have semi-reacted to this, and during the kind of depths over here of the first pullback, in some ways, China junk bonds also fell off. This is important because the property market, while we do think, I think anyway, it will be covered by China to some degree, maybe the market is just not kind of paying attention to that. All of a sudden it becomes a problem when you least expect it, but it is there and it's an undertone to this current market. How far will the Fed funds rate go? Well, of course, we have inflation coming out this Wednesday in the US. The core numbers is coming out. It's expected to drop, but at this stage, the Fed's fund rate is now going to be data-driven. That means that every single data point, anything to do with the economy, matters, which is kind of annoying for a lot of traders, but also will create, no doubt, some serious volatility over the next 3 months into the back end of the year, where the Fed may change, who knows, maybe even the way they're doing it. Maybe they won't be data-driven anymore. We'll have to find out. 3 point.
Oh my god, so many memories returning. Damn, they rotate this good. Just let you just barely forget about the good times. You got a mic?
Round 1. Beginning. Attention. First blood.
Yo, the Spitfires.
Someone get the party started.
What?
Ring's close. 45 seconds.
I'm tripping. They changed that.
Seconds until the ring charges at us. But we're close.
I don't need daylight. What? Where's just quick shots put you? But wow.
3. Ring in 10.
Well, that's all we
There is a new kill leader.
Interesting.
New kill leader.
I need it. Oh, I need that. This.
Ring's moving. Barrel stabilizer here. Level 3. Extended heavy mag here. Level 2.
Care package being.
I bet that care package has some sweet gear for us.
Come on, give me already 45. Fuck this 2020.
Not running away, just exploring over here.
At your side.
Backpack here. Level 1.
this bad.
Volt SMG here.
Sweet.
Mirage, is it? Thanks again.
Hey, we know each other well enough for first names. Axon J.
Accent J. What? Oh, come on. Get up there.
Looks like only half the squads are left.
This is different. You changed stuff.
Some champion, huh?
This is not what was there before so many times. Over. Dude, they keep changing. I don't like those changes. Stupid. Whatever. No, this part's like a map that I just don't know. Never been so mad. Seen it. I love it. Great how it was. This part.
Barrel stabilizer here. Level 3.
What is this? What is this?
Ready to steal.
Oh.
Got an enemy here.
Gotta come. Alright, tell me one.
Grenade.
Oh, I see. Yep. That's a red flag.
Reinforcing my
Shots fired. You're hitting me. I think this place needs a little more. Me. Decoys getting deployed. You got bamboozled. You got bamboozled. Look at you. You got bamboozled. You got bamboozled. Bamboozled. Or something like that. You're hitting me. You're a bad guy.
Oh, that was over enthusiastic. Wait, are we doing? No, we're not doing duos. We're doing trios, right? Right? Yeah. So what am I getting? Oh, maybe some dude didn't connect. Whatever. Notes to self and internet. Capture cards can overheat. And when they do, they stop capturing. Just a professional tip from your professional friend tech neighborhood tech.
It's a good day to take out some fools and be back in time for dinner. Got pork chops
Capture
tonight.
cards crash when they're
Humans are the only animal.
I figure logic.
Oh, what's the point?
Thinking that I'm like, oh my god, this is hard. And hold on, where are you, fan? We're not doing any justice.
This is your champion.
Catch me if you can.
Yeah, it's like that. Alright. Oh, that's yep. Good. Alright. This one hasn't crashed yet. It's been crashing now it's actually pretty stable. I'm impressed.
That is an ideal landing place. Show no mercy. Mark my next location.
Okay.
Loud and clear. Got my boozles at the ready.
Did not see no anymore. Got something. Oh, scheiße, something's near me. Oh, hi! Hi! Oh, what the fuck? Why were you reloading? And how did he kill me with one hit? God. I had so many times. So,
First blood.
floor?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Laser sight here. Level 1.
Warning.
That's ridiculous. I loaded it like, I don't know why it was loading in midair. Maybe I pressed R by accident. I have like one more shot. 2 more shots.
I need a backpack.
This is it. You hear anything? There was a better one. Where was that better one?
You shouldn't have. No, but for the record, you should have. You should always have.
Oh, where? My body.
Check it out. Care package coming in.
What about my body?
Laser sight here. Level 2.
Laser sights? What? Huh? Who?
Stand back. I'm opening this hole.
Where's my body? Guys, I forgot what my body is. I'm retarded, you know. Let's just side up. Is this really? Look over here, right? No? Never mind, found it.
Repairing damages.
I'm still retarded though.
Meet me here. Recharging shields.
I got an angle. Moving there.
Hello? Okay, okay. No, interesting.
Box here. Their slayer left us a gift.
Yep, something's
I'm under fire.
not good.
Taking fire.
Go.
Looking at the start.
Bad news. I'm down.
Recharging shields.
Target's right in front of me. Closed door here.
Recharging shields.
Target's right in front of me.
Taking fire. I spotted an enemy's shield. Reloading.
Hostile right here, right in front of me.
These bonds aren't easily broken.
I cracked the target. Reloading.
Enemy down. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
My praise. Nope. You're not dying.
Come on.
Just gotta patch myself. Bam goes the boozle.
Another squad is on us. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
Taking fire.
Oh god, fuck this guy. Nice, fuck him, you little bitch ass. Oh no.
Back up better, team person.
0.6% is the current rate here in terms of what's expected for the rate to peak off at. It has been higher. You can see over here during the lows of the market, June over here, we hit almost 4%. So as this rate's come down, it's allowed the market to rally. But if we see this spike this week, guess what? It's not good for the stock markets. Generally, they will fall off the data being driven. Why is this so important? Well, we brought this in our video on the weekend. I'd actually go back and have a look at some of the videos. Our weekend video and the previous one, I think they present some really good cases here to do with human psychology, the market, everything else. Some really interesting stuff. Definitely subscribe if you're interested in that type of thing. And where are we? Right.
We're in their corner.
So basically the technicals and the fundamentals of the market are overextended. That doesn't, it's just overheated, it's done. There's no more strength in it, so we're other direction.
Alright, let's go back. This was what I'm saying. About stock market.
No, Mingo. Good thing. No. No, good thing. And then we're gonna drop.
Introducing your champion.
We're gonna drop another 50, 100 points on the spy. So, 1,500 points. Is it 1,000 or is it 10,000? Jesus.
Oh yeah, master of the jump, right here.
Yep. Let's go. These are just newbies to the map. I've never been here. That's funny. You don't know where to drop. Maybe that's why everyone's giving me the drop. Oh, there. I think that's me. My guys. What? Seriously? This is it? That's all I get in here? Doesn't seem quiet. Ooh, good. Yes. Yes. Cool. What is that?
Hemlock here. Havoc here. 45 seconds. Ring's not too far. I'm okay with that. Extended heavy mag here. Level 2. Enemy spotted. It looks small.
Oh, we can ping through windows now. Oh my god, we figured it out.
Light ammo here.
Wait, why am I keep picking up the heavy?
Scanning the area.
10 seconds. The ring is close.
Keeping my eyes on that spot.
Laying with fences.
Closing.
Wake up, rings move.
Laying fences. The fence is complete. Setting a fence. Setting fences.
Reloading.
Killed an enemy. New killer. Soon to be me. Opening fire.
Why is that thing? What is that thing? Why is that? I want to shoot it. I don't want to shoot
Here
it.
for us.
What the fuck is that dancing?
I'm in trouble.
Oh, that hurt. That hurt, didn't it, bruh?
Reloading.
Oh, this is a perfect space, man. This is amazing. Did you move?
I'm fencing. Anyone pass through?
Good.
I see an opponent.
What is that?
Enemy very close.
Tem coisa atrás aqui, ó, Price Zero. Dá nós, porra.
Exit. Enemies.
Hello.
Shots fired. They're hitting me.
Fence in position.
Bless me.
Anyone passes through here? No. A second squad is attacking us. I broke an enemy. Combat too noisy. Shush down.
Then you got another me.
I downed an adversary. Just topping off my shields.
Reloading.
Dodging an Arcstar. Throwing an Arcstar.
Attention.
I'm in trouble. Champion. I wish pop.
Broken enemy's shield.
Planting fences. The fence is complete. Fence placed.
Reloading. That entire squad has fallen.
I'm helping. Cover me. Support yourself.
Down, but alive.
Recharging shield. Sending out my decoy. Just gotta back myself up.
Target over there. Target over there. This way. Let's go.
Healing my wounds.
Decoy escape. You got bamboo. Let's go. Relax. You got everything under control. You got bamboo, don't you?
Oh my god, two of these motherfuckers.
Putting down the fence.
I'm shitting for all day. Both just came at us. Knocking those from behind. The ring was closing. Everything was coming through.
And on it, because their local agent is a small business owner too.
Now in these markets. Well, we're at a point of historically very different scenarios. If we were in a recession and markets end up going down a little bit further, you can see the kind of base case scenarios of what markets do. If we ended up avoiding, let's say, the recession, and yes, I know the terms have changed, they changed the terms on us, then we tend to go up. And this is a very big level. It also coincides with the 50% fib pullback, which we'll look at later on today's video. For anyone that watched the weekend video, we discussed this. Whenever markets have gone past the S&P 500 top to bottom, 50% pullback, that has generally meant that that low was in. So,
yeah. I don't think the government changing what a recession means is going to convince everyone that there's no fucking recession. Whatever. That's stupid. Looks like we're probably gonna go down.
This ring's got a date with me.
It may look like it's going up.
All of us.
Just for a moment. But I think it's gonna fake everyone out and it's gonna go down. We'll see.
Rock up. It's time to move out. Introducing your champion.
I'm Jumpmaster. I'll pick the party spot.
No. Do I always have to be fucking Jumpmaster? Do I really get this? Can anyone else just get a little bit of balls? A little bit of balls? Just grow some balls. Just guys. Just grow some balls.
Oh, there's something good there. Good squad means good wins means good times.
I got some materials for us. Yay! I got some materials for us.
This is just harvesting material?
Already in the next ring, I smell victory.
That's cool.
Smells like...
Yes, I Please, tell me it's both. Tell me it's both. Oh, it's a whole goddamn kid. That's goddamn evil. Oh my god. Oh, and I did good myself. Oh, nice. Iron sight? Iron sight?
First blood,
Iron sight?
there is an extended energy magazine here. Level 4.
Alright. Interesting. A lot of differences.
Grappling.
Pretty cool differences. Some of them. I don't like the map differences. I want my old map.
I got an Evo shield here. It's cool. Level 2.
It's cool.
Kill leader. Call him if you spot him.
I got some materials for us.
Oh, this dude's harvesting
We're inside the ring. Got the positional advantage.
materials from the Where are you getting that from? Oh well.
Thank you.
Optics here. Mid-range.
No, I don't want
Eyes up.
that.
Crafting.
R301 here.
I don't know if people like that one.
Care
Yep,
package
there we
touching
go.
down. The backside
Triple take here.
Level 2.
I need it.
Oh, and then help yourself, my dear friend. Robot friend. Robot friend. Robot?
Extended light
Robot.
magazine here. Level 2.
Right? You're a robot? You're a robot. Yeah. Do you guys prefer to be called robots? What's all of it?
Energy ammo here.
No. No. Yes? You know what? I don't know this. Where did I go? Take that. Thank you. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I don't know. I feel like it's a good idea.
Opening a hold. Don't blow up.
I need optics for an assault rifle.
Oh, it doesn't have scope, right? It doesn't use that, it uses science.
Laser sight here. Level 2.
Laser sight? I still don't understand.
Dibs.
Got an extended energy mag here. Level 3.
Oh, no barrel in the water? Cool. Alright. See what the laser sight's like. Is it a little... Seriously? Like, really this is gonna help? I guess. I gotta usually fucking close, but alright. Figure laser sights would go further. But I gotta be like, kiss them. Mwah.
Helmet here. Level 2.
Mwah. No. No. Then it shows up. Alright. Oh. Thank you very much.
I got it.
What? Okay, I thought that was dual ammo too. It's like they're fucking this shit too much. Is that the wing? What the? No! No. Yeah? Wingman?
That's some pretty easy math.
Really? It's a sniper? It's a fucking revolver. It's not sniper ammo. It makes no sense. It's just really big ammo. Whatever, that's sick though.
I need to hop up.
Skull piercer. Oh yeah, okay, that's the sniper attachment. Oh, this is comical how stupid this is. But whatever. It is what it is.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
Okay.
We are in the ring. Check your stations.
Replicator being delivered.
Zipline deployed. Eyes up. Incoming replicator.
I mean, does this have a sniper attachment? That's my next question. Am I gonna have a giant scope on a fucking pistol? Come on, please don't make it up. No, actually, please make it that comment up. That'd be great. That'd be great.
Hostile over there. Get to bamboozling. I'm gonna give that spot a watchful eye.
I thought I saw someone.
Contact.
What?
Friends, replicator coming in. Giving my shields a recharge.
Fire! Spotted. Double timing it.
Recharging shields. Shots fired and they're hitting me.
This gun sucks! What kind of bang bullshit is this? I gotta get extra ammo. No, how do you miss that? That was a straight on hit. Fuck off.
Giving my shields a recharge. Keeping my eyes on this spot.
Need lead! Give my shields a recharge.
Frag out. Giving my shields a recharge.
No, that does not work like a sniper. That's not what it is. That's just not what it is. Why would you do that? Fuck's sake, guys. Fucked up the game. That's a horrible change. I can't even land the goddamn shot anymore. What's the trajectory? It's exact, kind of.
Who's ready to fly on a zip line? I am. Get out there and bamboozle.
We're inside the ring.
You got bamboozled.
Enemy in sight. Oh, painless. Knocking at the door.
That enemy
Spotted. Cracked enemy shield.
Care package being delivered.
New kill leader. Call.
The enemies are shooting at me. Broke that enemy shield. Recharging. There's another squad attacking.
Arc start.
Using grapple. Think this place needs me. Giving my shields a recharge.
Contact.
You got bamboozled. Look at you. I've been down.
Oscar Mike. Spotted. Spotted. Double timing.
One second. You got bamboozled. Faking him out with a decoy. Recharging shield.
Spotted. Nice. Champions. A broken enemy shield. Give it a second. Recharging shields.
I am repairing myself. I'm the new kill leader, Excelsior.
We got company, people.
You know what? I'm doing it.
It's all right.
enemy shield. A broken enemy shield. Reloading. 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 Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
Recharging shields.
One of those are good. These are sniper, sure, whatever. Standard sniper for my pistol? Yes, please. Apparently, that's how we're working it. But you know what? It's cool. I like it.
Increases headshot damage. Love these things.
I still prefer low.
At least the ring's close. Dibs!
Oh, my God. Oh, shit! No. 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 No.
It worked.
No. 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 Oh, that's what I need. That's what I need. That's what I need. Great. What? That's it? Oh, this guy's good. Why does the capsule always turn on?
Apex champions.
Very different scenarios moving forward over the next month. Do we end up creating that new high, or are we pulling back down to make new lows or going back and testing them? This is how critical these next couple of weeks are going to be. Retail investors, what are they doing? Well, they're buying stocks again. And this is interesting because most retail investors were buying indices a little while ago. Now it's become a stock picker. And I can see that in the comments. We were doing a live session. People out there are starting to buy stocks and individually picking up, of course, tech, growth, and yes, they're back. AMC and GME. We've got a really good study on those a little bit later. So net purchases amongst retail traders are starting to become pretty high. Check this number out. We've got a big number. In fact, it's a number that's equal to before the market went down back in September of 2020. Now, it's interesting because all of the retail traders are getting into specific stocks thinking, oh yes, look how great we are. And then, of course, the market likes to go the opposite direction. It's another case to be said that maybe dumb money, which is us generally, not all of us, don't worry, in the community, hopefully most of you guys are pretty smart, I'm sure, we get kind of hit by these types of events. So speaking of dumb money, smart money versus dumb money, what are smart money traders doing? Well, historically, they're usually more correct than we are, and they have pulled back. They're still purchasing, but they're purchasing at a slower rate. Of course, the dumb money, however, has started purchasing very quickly in the last couple of weeks. And I would suspect if we updated this number and we had the data for it, especially in the last 24 hours, quite a lot of people will have piled into this market. Some other risks coming up are outside of China, the COVID cases, the supply issues, the Fed, the data, all of these types of things. Of course, the midterm election years. No one's talking about this, and I still bring it up because I know statistically it's what creates volatility. Here's the S&P 500 monthly volatility since 1970. Volatility spikes. August, September, October, with October being the big one, and of course the vote generally being November. No one's talking about it. That's why we might as well talk about it, because it's important to discuss these points. Now, if you look at monthly seasonality, we know that during most years, of course, even outside of midterm years, we know September is historically the worst month of the year, and that's often backed up mid-October by a nice rally. So we're going into some of the worst months of the year, we're going into midterms, and we have all these other kind of things that are starting to point to us being near potentially a nice little rally top. Earnings beat data doesn't get any better here. Nvidia obviously coming in with warnings all over the place. Beats at 1,561, misses at 863 with a 64% beat rate. I can tell you that is not good. It usually is better than that. This is on low expectations. 64% on low expectations is not that fantastic. Palantir also didn't do so well. And of course, the rest of this week we've got some big names, Disney, Coinbase, and others are coming out. So plenty of big names coming out, guys, but nowhere near what we saw the last couple of weeks. All those big catalyst stocks, Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, all of those are out of the way. So now the market's got to do it by itself. So at this point, let's get into the technical analysis. What's going on there? Well, the VIX, the volatility index, it's dropped back down. We've already pointed out previous March, April zones around that 20 zone. And of course, we've already pointed out as well that February point where we hit the February low, and then of course we bounced off that. So really, this is pointing towards if the bears are going to take control of this market, they need to do it pretty soon. If they're going to push down the market, it's right around the next kind of 100 points on the SPY that it must be done so. So between 40, kind of 200-ish, 4180, and 4300, there's so much critical points around this area. We'll look at that a little bit later on today. Put-call ratio is still a huge amount of puts in the market, but much less than there was previously. This marks some of the lows in the market. Basically use this as a kind of counter. If lots of people are opening up calls, then you might want to be a little bit fearful. If a lot of people are opening up puts, you might want to be a little bit greedy. Does that coincide with your market analysis? At this point, PCC is even, so not too much we can get from that today, but it has been at a lower point recently. US 2-year still continues to go up at this stage if the inflation number comes in other than expected, and at this point, look, everybody expects the inflation number to be down. The main reason is energy, of course, demand destruction, oil just getting cheaper. You can see it probably at the pump wherever you are in the world. It's most likely cheaper to buy gas than it has been in some time. It is now spiked. Let's say it goes back above this high and the market rallies with it. It's almost a sure case that bad things are good. US 2-year currently sitting at 3.2, and December into April rates spiking at 3.6.
Two of them down here.
Pissed off. Here is another thing. We've got the S&P 500 stocks above 50-day moving averages, which kind of shows a really nice oscillation.
What a dumb.
It's November.
Oh no!
Well, we all know what happened on January. Sounds familiar to that April kind of rally and over here. So again, a nice thrust. Certainly some good things to like about this rally. We'll be talking about breadth in the next video, so make sure you subscribe to that because that's going to be a big one. But yeah, it's still looking a little bit on the toppy side in terms of this move. Let's move over here to the daily dollar index. Of course, cash is king in 2022, or is it? Well, at this stage, we've got the trend line holding on the higher time frames. We come over here to the lower ones, such as the 1 hour and the 2 hour, and you kind of got to look at it from the trend perspective. At this stage, it looks like buyers are still committed to the US dollar. If this starts to spike, and again the market even spikes with it, it's usually a bad sign for the stock market. If we see cash kind of seeing further buyers come in, I would say this is a neutral point. If you put something like a volume profile on, this is a fairly key level, this 10620 zone. And at this stage, you're looking probably to go long, you'd be looking for like a 10665 or some smaller time frame in here. It kind of coincides well with the euro. The euro is probably the cleaner chart here. We have what we call the defended zone. So at the moment, every time the euro's come down to this area, it's been bought up, which basically means that it's defended. Now, it could be seen as distribution. So effectively, if you want to look at this as a Wyckoff distribution, here's your UT, and currently we're making a series of lower peaks. If we now go through this area, what's that mean? Well, it means the dollar index.
Even crypto's up, but barely percentages. The market seems pretty shit.
Introducing your champion.
Even stable stocks like Apple, barely any growth. Weird. Finally, yeah. don't have to even care about jumping. Dos tipos. Poder delicioso.
The crew's over here.
Okay.
Heard that.
Vamos. I don't know when to stop eating you. You are such a poison. That cheese dip is gonna make you fat.
Beginning ring countdown.
Next ring's far. Hope you like exercise.
Attention, 45 seconds and ring far.
Is this one of...
First blood already?
Why? Oh. Oh. That's funny. That's actually pretty sweet.
Marking our surroundings.
Nope, that's not a sniper. That's not a pistol anymore. That's a piece of shit weapon. I'm not touching that wingman anymore. That's ridiculous. They've already ruined it, killed it. Never again.
Here. Level 2.
Got a help up here. Turbocharger. I need a
Backpack here. Level 2.
They changed the mechanics.
Wake up, ring's moving. That thing hurts.
Not just the ammo, they changed the mechanics. 100%. Something changed. To be more sniper, like...
I need it.
Nope. Nope, 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 nope. It's too quiet.
Bad guy over there. I'm gonna give that spot a watchful eye. And bam goes the boozle. Ha! Oh boy.
Care package on high.
Firing. Reloading. Got one. Enemy down.
Reloading. Enemy killed. I took care of it, don't worry.
Well,
Nice kill.
not it?
Saw it coming.
Oh, that work. Poor dude. Feels bad. Get your teammate back. Run away. Running away first. You make it after your teammate dies and you can get him back. Oh man.
Scanning the area.
Gotta heard something. They barely exploded. Why do I keep thinking something's there?
The champion's been eliminated.
Some champion, huh?
Attention. Fox 3. Fire.
Oh no. Who? Where?
Taking fire. Cracked him over shield.
Opening.
I cracked it.
Recharging shield. Mayday. Crashing and burning over here.
What the fuck's that guy? He just came out of nowhere and then ran away. What the f? This is happening. Oh. I wanna get that. Let me get that.
Open supply bin.
Jeez. My teammates like, I'm not like, I'm just gonna get shit.
Business is my pleasure.
Introducing your champion.
Lovely. I'm the drum master.
Alright.
Let's land here.
Yes.
Let's find something good.
I suggest we do some research in this area.
What?
Get back.
Okay.
Congratulations on a comfortable conclusion.
Lovely. Eyes peeled. An enemy landed near me.
Attention. First blood.
Firing.
Round one. Enemy shield.
Hold on, I need to heal. Speak of the devil, I have his banner. Tossing jump drive.
Recharging shields. I'm out of energy ammo.
Energy ammo here. Time's up, and we're not in the ring. Move now. We have a new kill leader. I can't wait to meet them. Target down. Reload.
Recharging shields.
Jump drive out.
What the fuck? Lol. I was gonna be passive. Alright.
Gotcha. Hey, how about no more dying today? very dangerous baby.
I put the war in Warlord.
It's a good day to take out some fools and be back in time for dinner. I got pork chops tonight. Yeah.
Could be absolutely blitzing out of control, but at the same time, if we go underneath this zone here, underneath the defended zone, we open ourselves up to not only testing lows on the Euro, but potentially testing new lows. So I have to be very careful here in the dollar and the currency plays, because this is all got to do with hedging around the world. If people think there's risk on, you'll see the Euro usually strengthen. If people think there's a risk off, often it manifests itself in the currencies first, and then that comes across into the stock markets, because of course people are buying positions. Gold, we are pretty bullish on gold. I've got to say the switch in the money flow has been pretty good. Again, if we're getting close to that yield high, close to the inflation high, I wouldn't be surprised at all for precious metals to outperform over the next coming months. Rest of the market. Everyone hates gold. I like gold and everyone hates it. I've always said this, 95% of the time gold sucks, 4% of the time it's pretty tradable, 1% of the time at this stage it's entering into damn territory. Solicitation to do anything in particular, follow your own system, do your own thing, and it's got to do with a mixture of, but with hit resistance, obviously I still expect gold to potentially pull back to these kind of levels and shake people out, but we have seen a discernible shift in the way that the market participants are acting in gold. So we've got some key levels here to be looking at. We have what we call the defended zone here around 754. That's an area of the market. Come back down and find down high. 70. Just kicking low. Was around
what the fuck is my team?
1750-ish, and then of course 1770 the key levels. If the market gets underneath this area, I'll probably expect it to move down to the defense area. At this point, I'll probably expect buyers to try to come in and show demand, and if it snaps that level, pull back down to 1715 seems the most likely kind of story. So gold's still bullish, no signs of weakness just yet, other than making slightly lower highs and being close to our two major resistance points. So I'm probably neutral on it here, but as it comes down, it could be some nice position. I do feel fairly comfortable with gold over the next 2 to 3, maybe 6 months. Let's go over to oil. Oil is, what can you say, $90.40. Look, it's gone through the It's a huge breakout. It could pull back. Of course, pullback should be met by sell demand. I've got like the aim for oil later on to potentially go into like 65 a barrel. That could be here. I don't know exactly when. That's just kind of my aim. And if you go down here, in this stage, it's kind of just chilling in this area. It looks like resistance, but probably the real resistance sits behind $92 a barrel. So it could easily sit here, do this, and then instantly fall off. This could just be all effectively distribution. Be careful here on oil. The oil trade certainly is more to the bear than the bull at this stage, I would say. Move over to AMC. Now, this is an interesting study. Check out the dates here. So AMC went ballistic back in 29th of March. Now we're seeing this happening again. Basically AMC, GME, short squeezing, generally small hyper stocks, anything to do with risk on, especially retail, names that I haven't heard of in 3 to 4 months suddenly coming back into the chat rooms, and all people are talking about is these stocks. Now they tend to kind of coincide, at least so far this year, with interesting points. So we have that December point, and then of course we dump off. We have that March point into April, dump off, and right now we have this August point. Just big breakouts. Not saying they can't run more, I don't know, that's guessing to me, but it certainly shows you that the risk and appetite of retail traders is coming back a little bit. Moving over here to Tesla, stuck between two bands, 940 resistance and about 850 support. Had a nice rally, came back to fill the gap, and that's where we are at this stage. Basically neutral into the next session. Apple is similar, made a new little high, and then came down. Now remember, if that now breaks underneath this price, which is sitting around 163-ish, once we get underneath there, we've kind of changed the trend on the small time frames on Apple. So we own ourselves at least to pull back to fill the gap, bring us back down to 157. So non-low amount of turnaround will basically mean around a 4% switch on Apple to the downside. Certainly very possible, and I doubt that gap is going to remain, and this market is just going to continue to rally. Remember, Apple is technically up since July, so let's go here and actually get the real number. July 1st, let's get the number here for Apple. It is up at its peak 21.62%. Now, July is a very strong month for Apple, don't get me wrong. But 21%, that's a damn good rally. Maybe it's time for a cooler there. The DAX is showing us nothing loving here. It's filled the gap which we hoped for. That was cool. And now it just keeps rejecting off this zone. It seems to be weakening, similar to the other markets. Not showing us too much on the DAX. XLY, XLP, this is basically consumer sentiment here in terms of risk on, which is consumer discretionary, risk off, which is staples. At this point, a little bit of weakness here in the last 24 hours. Doji as well. It's been very strong to us. It's what helped us kind of get into this low back in over here in the June period. It kind of went, yeah, well, maybe this is bottoming a little bit. Maybe it's time for a pullback here in these markets. It's starting to look that way. And of course, you can never be exactly sure, and you're looking for the S&P 500 generally to show you the way. Consistent with AMC and GME, we're seeing small caps do very well. The Russell came up to the top of our box and rejected that area. It's left a gap as well behind it. Shows a little bit of euphoria coming into the market in the last 24 hours, and in fact Friday's trade as well. So again, IWM showing that little bit of rejection there near the end of the session, which is interesting. Let's move over to the NASDAQ. So here's the NASDAQ making a series of higher peaks. It's come down and kind of gotten through that last little trough here. We've found the resistance and support, we've made a new peak, and then we've come down. This all is happening at, remember, our incredibly big trend line level that we've had now for a little while marked up on the NASDAQ. We also know that the NASDAQ's sitting just above a 50 fib, and everything, previous supports, previous resistances, they're all very close. So even the 61.8 fib, they're all very close for the NASDAQ. So this is a critical moment for this market, and it's showing weakness at this stage. If we go back down to that hour chart, what levels become super important for the bulls and the bears? Well, I think it's hard to doubt this level here, this 13,000 kind of 70. Resistance, support. A break below there should expose something like 12,800. Obviously, around this 12,800, we make probably the bigger decision, because on high time frames, it's going to look like peak, trough, peak, potential breakdown, pullback, movement down to these lows. So that's the type of thing you're looking for here. Certainly a little bit of weakness, no signs of full turnaround just yet on these markets, only very small time frame turns. Let's look at the S&P 500. We mentioned the 50% fib. For a lot of you that are watching this for the first time, you're probably like, wow, that's a lot of information. It is still important to understand all these levels. And here's the 50% fib. No market has come above the 50% fib over the last 70 years of the full pullback without that being the low, what we just saw down here. That's an interesting stat. Again, it helps you to build a case, and that's what it is. You can't just trade a stat by itself. You want to build a case. But we have a rejection here after making the new peak. So what are the scenarios? Well, if we get above this previous peak, we probably rally into the 50 or even the gap, this red box zone. Remember, this is our downward trend on the SPY. 4,300 should top us off here if we can even get there. Anywhere really in here is open to the bears getting control of this market. We hit our first targets around 41.20, the 20 SMA on the weekly, mean reversion. We've hit the high, we've bounced that high slightly. You know, anywhere in here is very open. So we have a rejection candle. This is the shooting star style candle. If that then follows through, it's quite consistent with the type of market topping that you would see. Breakout, get those final entries in, push it down, get underneath this zone, pull back, and then of course go to hopefully fill some of these gaps down below. Key level, super important, ahead of inflation. Let's move over to the smaller time frames. What's happening? Well, as we mentioned, RSI is diverging. So that means as we're making new peaks, we're doing so with less strength. Of course, that makes sense. It's weakening. You can see that this is weakening at this stage. Making a series of higher peaks, but each time it's doing so, it's not moving up as much as a percentage. What are the key levels that we're watching? Well, of course, we want to watch something like a 4100. We also want to watch a 4080, 4090, and both of these areas here will show a lot of consistency. It's still an upward trend, so there's no reason to say that this is the turnaround just yet. If it comes down here and turns in this area, or turns in this area, you can't really fight the current trend. The trend is up. But if you are thinking about it, the trend is up, but it is weakening, and this is the first time we've seen that through this whole rally. It's basically been sharp rejections, sharp movements, reject, sharp movements, reject. This is a slowdown right around that high. We've taken out pretty much all of these high stops as well. Anyone that had a stop above 4164, you're gone. Anyone that had a stop above 4168, you're taken. Anyone that had a stop above 4188, not quite taken. And neither is this one. So do we have to actually go and then take them first? Well, time will tell, but certainly keep an open mind to both locations, guys. We've got the 4080, 4090, we've got the 4100, and the trend's still up on these small time frames. What's this doing to options? Well, it's making some changes. Notice here, 418. The calls opened on the last 24 hours, 400 for the puts. Interesting levels. Let's go over here to the 12th expiration for this week. Huge amounts of calls, or at least decent amounts of calls, opening at 415. So the buyers are coming back and calls are being opened to key level. Then we've got the puts here on both sides. 400 looks like a massive fight zone between the bulls and the bears, with the 408 max pain this week. Things are getting a little bit heated up because all of a sudden calls are being opened in this market, which allows the market to potentially move down for the first time in a while. Let's move over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin bouncing off our key level. It broke through, it's come back, and it's bouncing off this key level. Can it hold up? This is the zone you'd be hoping for it. So again, inverse head and shoulders, movement up, peaks, of course, 24.6. At this stage, Bitcoin looks bullish, as does the other coins. Do I trust it? I think it's really back to the NASDAQ and whether the NASDAQ can do a nice turn here. If you haven't already, come and follow us over at FX Evolution on Twitter, or follow our Discord in the links down below. Join our public Discord, or of course private. We're posting a whole bunch of new charts here. I'm becoming really active on Twitter, so definitely follow us along. I'd love to get this thing to 10,000 followers at some point, now that we're so active on it. So definitely follow a whole bunch of different information. If you're interested in sentiment, all those types of things, check it out. And for the dates and everything else that's going on, of course, CPI this Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. we see the inflation numbers. Go over to, of course, the Thursday, we've got the PPI number, and then we've got the prelim UOM consumer sentiment, 10 a.m. on Friday, August 12th.
So it's time now for us to draw the 100k giveaway, and thanks so much for everyone to get us to 100k. Really appreciate it. Of course, there's 4 prizes of the 4 main courses we offer. We'll start with number 4, so we'll shuffle the names here. We'll get it to remove so that, of course, the person isn't able to win twice, which is pretty important. And we'll go down here and we'll find out who wins the yearly sub. Let's find out who it is. And it is Michelle, so well done, Michelle. We'll pick another name. You win that one. Who's going to win the masterclass? Smoke and Mirrors, 143. Well done, Smoke and Mirrors. You win the masterclass. Who's going to win the options masterclass? We'll do that one now. Richard, congratulations, and I will email everybody for this. If someone doesn't respond to me in 10 business days, I'll re-pick it. And for the final one, the mentoring, the group mentoring, who's going to win that one? Let's find out. That's a good prize. Matt Cruz, well done, Matt. So I'll message everybody that's a winner here, and obviously congratulations. Expect to get the email within 24 hours. Congrats to everyone out there. So thanks again for everybody that entered, and if you are a winner, congrats to you. And of course, we'll see you in the next video. Subscribe, comment, like, whatever you need to do, guys. Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Workday Finance customers have spoken. For 2 years running, we've been named a 2021 Gartner Peer Insights Customer's Choice for products and Cloud Core financial management suites. Workday, the finance, HR, and planning system for a changing world.
avoiding an imminent recession, but we've got to look at what potential growth is going forward.
You've got that strong dollar, you've got a Fed tightening, and you've also got a global economic slowdown.
We think we will indeed see that slowdown. We don't think it's going to be all that far away.
The economy is going to slow, but it's not going to slow so much that we're just going to see demand fall off a cliff.
I'm definitely not in the soft landing camp. I think we pushed too far.
This is Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene, Jonathan Farrow, and Lisa Abramowitz.
Good morning, everyone. Jonathan Farrow, Lisa Abramowitz, and Tom Keene. Thrilled you're with us on a Tuesday before an important and historic inflation report. You need to stay with us. Our opening guest this morning says, everyone calm down. Lisa Abramowitz, calm down.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. I'm absolutely freaking out. Now I feel just fine. This has been the issue. This is the conundrum, especially as we get earnings from companies that are absolutely better than expected with a lot of momentum in certain sectors and consumers still spending. How does the Fed get ahead of this, or do we see the cooling off more rapidly than so many people are thinking? And that is the bifurcation right now with the bulls and the bears on the street.
And it's important. Kaylee Lyons in for Jonathan Farrow. I thought he was back from Naples. He was delayed at NAP, and I guess he's not back again, but we'll try to get him in here tomorrow for the inflation.
He's not here back, Tom.
Well, I know he told
You have
me
me
that.
tell Fred.
He told me that actually over breakfast a couple days ago. Tom, I'm never coming back. Kaylee Lyons, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us throughout the show this morning. Kaylee, to me, it's the partition, as David Rosenberg, the giant of Toronto, would say. There's the many different parts of inflation that matter.
Yeah, there is, and we'll of course get a read-through into those different components yesterday. How much does the headline come down because of lower food and gas prices, and how much does core and everything else prove to be a bit stickier? I just noticed NFIB data crossing the terminal just now, Tom. The percent of business owners that reported inflation was their single most important problem, 37%. That is the highest since the fourth quarter of 1979.
That's good data from Bill Dunkelberg, and again shows the spirit of small business, but the separation there from big business. And you know, Lisa, I don't know what to make of this, and that some companies seem to be getting by. And this morning, Kaylee talking about Micron and others are really having a tough time with it.
So this has been really interesting. It is
NVIDIA yesterday.
Right, exactly. But how much is this because they really catered to the electronic devices that I know that even Vetbill has at home, Tom. All of these iPhones or other potential devices that people bought during the pandemic, PCs, personal computers, how much has that fallen off a cliff? But the chips for other things are in demand. How much is it a product composition issue as much as it is a demand issue? And that's what we saw at Walmart, that's what we saw at Target. How do you get ahead of a groupthink in terms of surging demand in certain areas and then falling off a cliff in the pandemic psychosis that we're all living in?
Yeah, there's a lot of groupthink out there. Let's go to the data right now. Lisa, help me with this. A 2-10 spread, negative 44 basis points, is really the headlining idea today. Neil Dudd is going to talk about that later.
Yeah, and it's really important way to put it, because yesterday we saw
Okay, you fall off your chair?
I did. I fell off my chair because it was just such a shocking 44 basis point inversion that I didn't know what to do with myself. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I'm not on a plane to Capri, but I'm good. Honestly, we have seen S&P futures and frankly NASDAQ really bouncing around nowheresville today. But yesterday was so interesting. We had that momentum coming in, and then it all fizzled on the heels of NVIDIA. People are looking for tea leaves, and it really raises questions about how much liquidity there is in this August when so many people are on planes to Capri. Here's what I'm watching today in the day ahead. 8:30 a.m. we get U.S. non-farm pay productivity. This will be really interesting because this is probably going to decline given the fact that you're getting people who are getting paid more and producing less. This is the stagflation that we're in. This is not good for the Fed, and this is something that I think is going to be really interesting.
I'm so glad you brought this up, folks. Productivity is a very complex and very dynamic move. And Lisa, you're absolutely right that it's what the pros are watching, and they're saying productivity is dampened. We are not as efficient as we should be because of this killer inflation.
And what happens as a result is eventually job freezes and layoffs. This is the portending of a downturn in the labor market, which is important to watch. Then, of course, tomorrow we get CPI, then PPI on Thursday and Friday, University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Today, also, President Biden is signing the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 into effect. It'll be fascinating to see some of the commentary out of that, including Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra, who's going to be joining us on Bloomberg Television at 9:30 a.m. them, talking about how much this could support the U.S. chip manufacturing industry and how quickly it can get ramped up, Tom, especially given the reshoring and onshoring of a lot of different manufacturers, especially in the wake of some of the disruptions. And just to give you a sense, today is also the tail end of earnings seasons with Norwegian Cruise Lines, Wynn Resorts, and Roblox, among others. Almost 90% of the S&P has reported so far. It has been largely beats. The bar is very low. Norwegian Cruise Lines have had some eviscerating recommendations, or lack thereof, from Wall Street. Those shares down nearly 35% year to date. Wynn down 23%. Roblox down 53%. Tom, as we get a lot of our kids going back to real life.
The data screen this morning, folks, as we go to Tony Roth here, is really pretty, just sort of churning along here, waiting for the inflation report. I should say red and green on the screen with a VIX 21.56. Tony Roth is a chief investment officer at Wilmington Trust. This is a cautious firm, a venerable history, and they care very much about thinking about out 3 years. Tony Roth, when you look out 3 years, you say, calm down about inflation.
Well, Tom, that's right. And even if we look out, frankly, 3 days, we think that this inflation report may represent an important pivot in this trajectory on inflation. And specifically, what we're focused on is core inflation in this report coming up on Wednesday morning. We all know that the headline number is going to come down. In fact, the consensus is, I think, down from 0.7 to 0.2. We think it's going to be flat at 0.0. That's not where the action is going to be. The action is going to be on the core number, because when we look at a number of things, our work is showing that there's been a significant moderation in prices over the past month. So, for example, we look at core goods. We look at, for example, apparel, used cars. We look on the services side, airfare. There's a lot of evidence that prices have stabilized. Consumer inflation expectations are dropping. And we talk to employment agencies, they're telling us that wage growth has slowed significantly. So when you put all that together, it suggests that we are at an important inflection point in the inflation story. Now, there are things that we can't control. We can't control the supply side as it relates to China, as it relates to energy with the situation in Eastern Europe and in the war. But those two areas are not important contributors at the moment. The other thing I want to mention, Tom, going out a little bit further, is that the base effects are very favorable starting in October for the next 5 months. So go ahead.
Well, no, but Tony, all of this picture that you're painting is the bull argument. It's that you've got great earnings, or good earnings, better than the worst earnings certainly expected, and you also have a cooling off inflation, which gives people conviction to go all in to risk assets. Is that your view here?
That's our base case, but it's not a high conviction view, because it's a very messy situation, quite frankly. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with that view. For example, we could have a spike in the price of energy and crude at any moment as a result of perceptions around the war. If we have a bad winter in Europe and the recession in Europe is deeper than expected, that could infect the U.S. So there are a lot of things that can go wrong in this particular scenario, and it's a paradigm without precedent. We've never had inflation like this in modern times that needs to be walked back. And as you said earlier, there are so many dynamics in the post-pandemic equilibrium that we're trying to reset that we could see different cycles out of services back into goods, et cetera, that make the situation very, very muddy. So that is our base case scenario. The one thing that we do have conviction in right now is growth over value. There's a lot of convexity in that trade right now, because if we're wrong and we do go into a recession, value is going to underperform. On the other hand, if we're right, and it is a bull case, we expect significant recovery in those big tech names.
Tony, if we could just focus on the earnings, because essentially what you're saying is that inflation is going to come down, therefore those higher input costs that businesses are facing are going to come down as well. Are you not in the camp that thinks the real downgrade to profit expectations, the erosion of margins is coming in the latter half of this year? You think margin expansion can continue?
Well, we do think that margin expansion can continue from these levels, but not with overall, not with a significant acceleration. So, for example, when you look at Q2 earnings, what you see is that overall revenue is up 12.5%, earnings are up 7%. But if you take out energy, actual earnings for the S&P is down 4% in the second quarter.
Yeah, we get it. Okay, well, nothing's happening today. Alright, where do we leave off? Now that the capture card won't crash, we can have a full process. Alright. And there you go. Alright, I know we expanded into two. Oh. Suffocation. Oh, there was no. I didn't set up the oxygen. I don't like doing this. In fact, you know what? No, I'm not gonna start. They died. You know what? It was too ambitious to do 2 bases. I'll start from scratch, even if you had an issue with the capture card anyway. So, try again. Alright, nope. What card? Yeah, survival, this. Metal ore, metallic caves, geodes. I like the lush core. I saw it and I love this. That's amazing. I love this one. Frozen friend, the world contains a frozen friend for a long time. I have to. I guess on freeze him. Lush core! Yeah, super conductive. Okay. Let's go. Oh, come on. No, don't refresh it. Damn it. Lush core. Alright, I want this. No. I want a big place, but I want a lush core, but that's over there. No traits? Fuck you. Come on, give me some traits. I don't want no traits. Alright, whatever. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll start it that way. Yes, baby. There you go. No? No? You joking? Alright, I'll see you. Okay, so let's redo builder, bidder, and researcher. This time I'm not gonna take forever setting up. I think. Let's see. No. Maybe at least an 8. Come on. Oh. Control the whales. I think that's alright. Yes. I like. Me gusta. Yeah. The facility. Loveliest shack. Okay, yes, true. The Ultra Cosmos. Anti-gravity hole. Yeah. Oh no, the names! I forgot to change their names. Alright, we'll start with their default names, that's fine. They don't have different names, it's all the same. They have the exact same duplicate, exact same. Yeah, it's beautiful, it's absolutely amazing. Alright. Now, we excavate with purpose and with elegance. unnecessary digging. That's important. You start digging, you're like, oh cool, and then you have a whole biome just empty. Don't do that. Not bueno. This is so much food. It's lush. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Alright. Oh, I love these little pigs. There's so many of them. So I'll go this way, do that. Here. Yeah, do that. Do that. Cool. And yeah, I can free this. Free that. After that goes. Speed it up. Alright, let's get you guys settled before I forget. We need beds. That's over here. Maybe. Come on. Oh, you're done eating, so you want to go outside. Cool, bitch. Fine. Go. Go, shoot. Sweet hands. It's official. She just uses me for food. The Kamachi's a cat. That's what it is. Alright. So in order to make it nice, make it a room. Gives it a boost in morale. Toilets. Nope. There we go. And now we got something to work on. Let's finish the toilets first. The rest is not necessary. Oxygen, water. Okay. Good start. I like it very much. Skill. Oh, it's granite. Whatever. That's not too crazy important. But I can also go around that. I don't need to take that. Just do this. Oh. Stop. Come on. Come on. No mistake. Okay. Well, now I'll go to bed. Alright, let's see some of my programs working. What's today's data? Zero text export. Alright, cool. Program 1. cool. So all those OTCs, man, OTCs, Constable. Let's see, PGY still on top. Is it going up? Need to figure that, but no, it's so low flow. Such a low flow. It's pointless. Already BX. Oh, that's coming back. Oh, that's. Oh, is that going up? Oh, it is, isn't it? It is, ain't it? Let's see, cost to borrow. 548, 551. It is. RDBX. It fluctuates. It's about there. Nothing crazy happening. Shares on utilization, right? Yep, that's the one. 100%, 100%, 100%. So we've got Ayla, TBLT. I've been hearing about this. I think I bought some. Did I? But this is completely, yeah, saturated stock. So much saturation. Just constant splits. At one point, imagine a share of over 8,000. But there's way more shares now, so. Nope. That's not it. None of this stuff. Whatever. Nothing interesting. Oh. Oh. Sorry, guys. No. 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 Go. Get it. Don't just stand around. Get it. And do this. And mom. And mom. Good. You can take this down, though. Alright, so we can put a pump, bottle end here. So far so good, we can do some research here. Aha, temperature, how's that? That's not bad. Oh, not bad. Good balance. I can siphon some heat from here, but I don't need any because I'm at 22 beautiful Celsius. Then, I mean, I guess I can start with the cold spots. I'm not gonna make this room like this. I don't want to break anything. Let's see, that'll be a temporary room here. Come on, water. Stop. Oh my god. Wake up, guys. You guys gotta wake up. 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 Come on. Hurry up, wake up. Oh, it's not like it's gonna change anything. It's gonna make the water go faster. Come on. God damn it. Why? Somebody please get this lights back on. I don't know why that's not on. No one can get it. Wait, hold on. Come on. Not enough skills. Whatever. Maybe I need to do something like this. Until I can get this stupid grenades. What happened with my crypto ticker? Is it crushed? No, they took it out before they did anything. Oh, no. You guys are fucking stupid. For fuck's sake, guys. No. Yeah, that's fine. Do it that way. Please, just finish that. Jesus, you make the water just flood everywhere. No, you didn't finish that? Look, I hate it. Oh, I'm just gonna fucking leave the other guy to build it, and now we can't pick it up because there's too much fucking... whatever. Sorry, buddy. You're gonna have to be water plant for now. Alright. I will like ranching and operating, decorating, tidying cool, ranching cool, doctoring. Yeah, this is a good balance. How about you? At some point, the others will level up. But this is tough. Where do I even start? Yeah, let's help you tidy. I don't need any ranching yet. Alright, manual power, some batteries kicking. Oxygen production, so we start researching. Just do this. Yeah. For now I'm fine. Just get the supercomputer. I can also open up some there. And let's open this. Then we can open this. See, always gotta be as delicate as you can when you're building or digging. Because you don't want to break things that'll grow for you and provide you with food. That's our current human mistake. Let's be honest. Honestly, this game feels like I'm controlling ants. Just, hey guys, let's make some tunnels. Okay. Research priority 9. We are doing research. That's what you're doing. Good girl. I probably would put like a door. Yeah. Because those bugs start coming flying out. Shit. Oh, probably do that too. Here. Yep. Oh, it's so pretty. Imagine having a basement. Just lush, gorgeous, self-contained environments. An ecosystem that does not need to be touched, and then you come in and be like, hey, Kool-Aid Man. Whoa. You thought your environment was safe. I am Uma. I have tools. Was green hell. God dang it. Oh, we need to do that. Hey, Marina, again. I'm like always lagging behind what I've just done. But in the Switch doing something, I have to have the freaking habit of changing that. Okay, now it's correct. Sadly, they don't have a category for ADD. Something that's constantly changing what they're doing. Oh, you fell. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Perfect. Great job. Alright, that's quick. We have just one thing. It's fine. Let's see. I think research is good. Nice. Nice, nice. Research this next. Let's get a water cooler. Don't need it yet. Supercomputer will be needed. Now, this is where my problem consists. I don't want to build down here. I don't want to touch this. I'm only going to keep putting more seeds down here. It's going to be literally just a self-sustaining, growing food system. So I need to somehow get out of this place. But I'm kind of stuck until I can dig through granite. So, guess I'll make do with what I have. That was horrible. What? No, this. Supercomputer crafting station. My key flew the fuck out. Starting. It's pumps. pumps. Okay, forget that. Any pumps? Water pump. How far? I need this to. Wow. This is appropriate. I can do something like this. Once these guys freaking level the hell up, almost. Come on. And yeah, I'll do this. I can contain this space and have my little oxygen generation here. I'm gonna need air pumps also. Come on. Yeah, you fast, man. You are a beast. Come on. Beast of chicken. Come on, leave. Oh, no oxygen. That's unfortunate. That's not good. I need to do this. Jesus. I need this carbon dioxide to go down here where all the plants are. I'll just, yeah, you can start this, but right there. I don't have any airflow tiles, so I've got to wait for that. Yeah, anyone? Any takers? Number 9. There we go. And then there we go. Oxygen up, carbon dioxide down. You should be converting. Good. There we go. Perfect. For now. It's just a hole in the ground. Wait. Did you just... Oh, mine. No, I don't think. I do not think that was granite. Okay, I got my pump. There's my pump. From here, I don't wanna dry out what we have too quick. Cool, that's done too. Air. Oof, I'm gonna do one at a time. It's too many. Too much power. And it's so damn dirty everywhere. Alright. Now I gotta store stuff. Let's do it in. No, I don't want to fill that space. Ah. Okay, I guess that's gonna have to work. skill upgrade. Finally. Go, Ellie. Now the others. Come on, you're so close. Get it, boy.
Back these loans getting paid back from developers because of the loans that they have exposed to them. Developers face $72 billion, 487 billion yuan of trust payments over the next 13 months. And trust firms, Heidi, this year have defaulted on about $8.6 billion of investment products linked to developers. Well, this has caught the attention of the National Audit Office, obviously. So we're hearing from sources that they have launched this investigation. They want to assess the risks that they pose, these potential defaulting loans to the property sector, to financial stability at a very critical political time in China, obviously. And these trust firms are also being asked to report their risky loans to property developers and any plans that they might have to dispose of them. This, according to sources. Now, unknown what type of regulatory action. Right now, it's just an audit office investigation, but it indicates how concerned top leaders are on shadow banking sector and where losses in property loans are obviously mounting, as I just laid out. Now, there's other regulatory action underway as well. We were just talking a big segment there on semiconductors. Well, the domestic chip industry obviously has not reached some of the successes that national investment in other areas of high tech have, and that has caught the attention of senior leaders as well. A flurry of anti-graft probes by the anti-graft watchdog have begun, and they've been expanded. On Tuesday, we learned that 3 more executives of the National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Board, or investment fund, I should say, known as the Big Fund in China, have now been caught in this investigation into where the money has gone. $100 billion Xi Jinping has allocated to the domestic chip industry, and let's face it, they have not reached the kind of success that was expected.
Wow. Insane.
We are live from Bloomberg's world headquarters in New York City.
No sound, huh? That's what I was confused about. Why aren't you showing my goodness?
We are live from Bloomberg's world headquarters in New York City.
No sound, huh? That's what I was confused about. Why aren't you showing my goodness?
We are live from Bloomberg's world headquarters in New York City.
No sound, huh? That's what I was confused about. Why aren't you showing my goodness?
We are live from Bloomberg's world headquarters.
Speakers, the very nice speakers. Special. Oops.
Is ahead, but first let's get a snapshot of the market. The best way to do that on your Bloomberg terminal, CRYP Go. That is your function, and what you'll find is pretty much all digital currencies are down really across the board. Bitcoin is down 4%. We're trading close to that $23,000 level, so below 24K, which we hit earlier this week. Ether is underperforming, down 6%. You have XRP down about 5% as well, and of course XRP and Ripple are a little bit of trouble with the indication of whether something needed to be registered as a security, which is also something Coinbase is being investigated for. Interestingly, coming into today, Coinbase was up 5 days in a row, up 56% over that time, in part related to that news of BlackRock partnership. But the stock is down 10.5% on the day now, Matt. Of course, we're awaiting those earnings after the bell, and we'll have more on that in just a moment.
Rough day for Coinbase. It's been a rough year for ARK, and Coinbase is kind of a part of that story because Cathie Wood let a little bit of it go before that big rally. But I have a really great chart put together by our London producer Dan Curtis showing that even though Coinbase's value, or the values of the shares that they own, has dropped by
last year.
These sort of forced liquidations in the market, they're starting to come to an end.
Secular deflation associated with technologically enabled innovations. That's a good deflation.
Institutional demand to be able to trade through some of the more traditional huge players.
Bitcoin is the greatest distraction from the greatest disruption that is happening in financial services today.
We're not seeing huge institutional flows, to be fair, but
that is happening in financial services today.
We're not seeing huge institutional flows, to be fair, but